With a good preamp, a good effect, a good bass, a touch of creativity, and a total lack of self-awareness, it's wild what the results can be. Wild as in Wild Wild West, obviously. So yeah, point intended. But hey, the whole idea here is to prove that it's okay to have fun, even to make a fool out of oneself, and that this new B Factory bass preamp from SONICAKE has what it takes for you to sound good at a very reasonable price and have a great time doing so. However, using the B Factory properly does require a little bit of digging, because it's not that intuitive and you might get a first wrong impression out of it. So if you decided to watch this video, it's probably because you wanted to know my opinion about this pedal. And I'll do that. I'll share my opinion, but I'll also take the opportunity to explain step by step how to set up this preamp properly and what to use it for. Welcome back to the What Bass. Changing one word on this pedal would make a hell of a difference. Overdrive to amp sim, because to me, that's really what this overdrive function does. It mimics the sound of a fat tube classic amp that we all know, rather than acting as a normal overdrive pedal. So blend is how much of that amp sim you want, and gain, as its name implies, harmonic saturation. Now here's where it gets a bit confusing, but yet interesting. There's a pre-post switch here at the back of the pedal that determines the order the preamp and the overdrive run into each other. Let's try to de-confuse the situation. In pre, the overdrive runs into the preamp with its compressor, its volume, and 3-band EQ. This means that in this case, you can fine-tune the sound of the amp sim, and boosting the lows, for example, will not change the amount of saturation. Whereas in post, with the preamp running into the overdrive, boosting the lows does make a big difference in saturation. So in this case, the pedal behaves more like a classic tube amp, where the preamp runs into the power amp tubes, especially in this case if the signal is boosted with the EQ section. And now for the compressor. It's transparent, effective, and discreet even when maxed, where the volume drops but can be compensated by the volume knob. That behaves like a makeup gain. So what better way to put it to test than slapping? Now let's fiddle around with the knobs and try to come up with a nice clean amp sound. With the switch on pre, by the way, so as a reminder, the overdrive into the preamp. However, when the drive is low, there isn't that much difference between pre and post. finally, let's do the same with more of a saturated rock tone. I prefer in general using the overdrive or amp sim in pre. This allows me to first choose how much pre-gain or harmonic saturation I want with the drive, and then decide how much of that fat tube amp I want with the blend, and finally fine-tune the sound with the EQ and comp knobs, mostly reducing the lows to compensate for the impressive amount the blend adds to the overall sound. Two more things I want to say. One, there's a ground lift for the DI balanced out, which is always great if the sound suffers from ground hum. And two, the B Factory does clip with very hot input signals. So it works great with passive basses, no problem with normal active basses, but it might struggle a little bit with very high output, active 18 volts basses. Right, I hope I made it all clear for you. I think it's a great pedal for the price. Very well built and aesthetically pleasing. And most of all, it has a decent DI, which is something I think is very important in a bass preamp pedal. So in summary, you can use this pedal in two ways, partially as a preamp with a very nice compressor, or as an analog amplifier simulator. But in this case, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I think SONICAKE should definitely change the label overdrive to amp sim. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.